So this is what a synthesis prompt looks like. Please keep in mind this is a totally fake synthesis prompt. Don't get excited and think this is the kind of thing you're going to get to write about because it's not. But let's take a look at a couple of things. So one thing that the prompt tells you is that you get 55 minutes to complete this essay. This time is actually broken up into two chunks. You get 15 minutes to read the sources, to read the prompt, and to start formulating your response, and then you get 40 minutes to write the essay itself. So with rhetorical analysis, you don't get any extra time. You're expected to read and analyze the text within the 40 minutes, but because the synthesis essay does include multiple sources, you get more time to read. So let's take a look at the prompt itself, and I will identify the different parts. The other day, Mark Tetrault and his girlfriend of 6 months, Carly McIntosh, got in a rather large fight because he went to a bonfire at his friend Matt's house without her. Carly and Matt don't get along, so Mark knew she wouldn't have had any fun anyway. Now they seem to be getting along. They seemed to be getting along for the last 2 weeks, but since the fight, a lot of information has been revealed, and now Mark needs to make a decision about his relationship. So, read the following sources and accompanying contextual information carefully. Then, in a letter that synthesizes from at least 3 of the sources for support, evaluate the most important factors Mark should consider when deciding whether or not to continue to date Carly McIntosh. Make sure your argument is central. Use the sources to illustrate and support your reasoning. Avoid merely summarizing the sources. Indicate clearly which sources you are drawing from, whether through direct quotation, paraphrase, or summary. You may cite the sources as source A, source B, etc., or by using the descriptions in the parentheses for reference. And that last sentence doesn't apply to us because a lovely teacher elsewhere created this assignment. And then you have a list of sources available to you. So this prompt obviously is much longer than the rhetorical analysis prompts we looked at. That's because it includes some different information. This first paragraph is just background information. It's giving you context. It's telling you who Mark is. It's telling you who Carly is. You need to know that they've been dating, but they seem to not be getting along. That's information you need in order to answer the prompt. This last paragraph is just some basic guidance to you. Make sure that you are using the sources to support your argument. Don't just summarize the sources, just some basic background information that you can find also on your rubric. This section is the actual prompt. This is the part you need to pay attention to. It has explicit and implicit tasks, just like a rhetorical analysis prompt. Read the following sources, explicit. Then in a letter, now this is different. It's telling you what format your response should take, not just a regular essay, but a letter. And sometimes you do get that kind of instruction. So if it says write a letter, it should probably be a letter. Synthesize from at least 3 sources for support. If you look down at the list, you will notice you have far more than 3 sources. However, when you read the sources in a synthesis prompt, you're going to get differing viewpoints. There's no way you can use them all, nor should you try. 3 is what is required in order to get a 3 on the evidence and commentary line. If you only reference 2, you're not going to pass the essay. If you don't reference any, you're not going to pass the essay. But if all it is a list, you're probably not going to pass the essay either. So you need to have at least 3, but 3 is plenty. You don't need more than that. Evaluate the most important and that's explicit, by the way. Evaluate the most important factors Mark should consider when deciding whether or not to continue dating Carly. This is the question you need to answer, and it kind of implies that you have to make a decision. Should Mark continue to date Carly or not? When you've made that determination, then you can decide what things should he consider. If you think they should stay together, why? What should he think about in making that decision? If you think they should break up, why? Explain what you think about that decision. And that is pretty much what a synthesis prompt looks like. You're going to get some background, You're going to get some general information. The important part is right there in the middle. When you are doing your synthesis essays, make sure you identify what the question in the prompt actually is and make sure you respond to that with at least 3 sources.